Hi there, I'm Brooke Dibley from Simply Speaking SLT, and you're watching my tutorial video for my digital Pig Pop Burger game. This game here has been made to digitize a very popular game that many of us often play in speech therapy, and I wanted to provide a digital version for those of you who want to play on a computer or on an iPad, especially if you're doing teletherapy or if you just don't have the game or don't want to be carrying around the game in the box. So I've set this up to play in a way that's quite similar to the traditional game, so as to give our students something they're used to, but of course I've had to change things up a little bit to digitize it. So in this video, I'm going to go through first how to add your targets in so that we can turn this into a game that targets speech and language goals. Then we're going to look at how to play the game. And thirdly, I'm going to show you how to use this on your iPad. But please note, even if you want to use this on your iPad, you first need to come here into PowerPoint on your computer, either on a Mac or a Windows computer in the desktop version, not in the browser version, and add your targets, and then you'll be able to play. Then you'll be able to send it to your iPad and use it on your iPad. However, do note, and we will cover this later on, if you'd rather just have an open-ended version of this game, you don't need to edit it. You can just go straight from slide 3, but that'll all make sense in just a moment. Now, a few things to point out before we get started with adding our targets. First things first, please make sure that you've removed this game from the zipped folder. So all of the provided files that came in the download, please make sure you've dragged them all out or copy pasted them out of the folder they were downloaded in. That folder they were downloaded in is compressed, and even if your computer says that it's decompressed it, you still need to drag it out, because there's many parts of this game that will not work if you leave it in that folder, because it's compressed all of the different settings that make this game do what it does. So I suggest you drag it all out and save it somewhere, move it to somewhere on your computer in your files where you'll be able to find it. And then before you start playing around with it, just make a copy so you have a clean copy on your computer, just in case you have a bit of trouble at some point, and you can always then have the original. However, if you find that you don't have the original anymore, no problem. You can just go back to where you downloaded it, which is likely TPT or my website, and you'll be able to download it again, and you'll have the clean copy that looks like this. Okay, so the first thing that you need to be aware of is, like I outlined in the product description, this game comes with some target cards, and the game itself has no targets in it yet. You can add those yourself. This is intentional to make this versatile for you, because just like the original game doesn't have targets, it's why it's so versatile, because we can adapt it. So in the download, you've also been given these square target cards that you can use. They're image files. I say cards, but they're image files, because you have to use image files in this game, or words, which we'll cover in a moment. So as you can see, I've organized them so they're all in one place, so you can have a really good look at what's included in your files, but that I've added in these like little labels here, so we know that, see, this one here is CHIT initial, that everything after it is CHIT initial. So there's 10 of each 10 of each sound position, okay? Do note, not every single phoneme is included here. The ones I target the most are included here, but also note that you can use these in lots of different ways too. So you could do some categories with these photo cards. You could do some language questions. There's a few people with some verbs in here. Describe what people are doing around the campfire in this one. There are many different uses for these photos, but I've chosen to organize them by speech sound just so that it can be the most easy to use for you, because I know many of us target these speech sounds. Okay, so, but I also want to show you that you don't have to just use these speech cards in your, I say speech cards, but again, they're images, in your game. You can actually just click this icon here, and then, oh, it's coming up on another screen, but it opens up my files to go and find some other images to bring in. So what you can do is you can save images that you find on the internet by using Google search. You could get images if you've got a Lesson Pick subscription. You could save Lesson Picks clip art to your computer. any images. You might have a Boardmaker subscription, you could use those, but also just searching the internet for free images. It's only for your personal use, so it's fine. You don't need to use commercial use clip art. You only have to use commercial use clip art if you're going to sell a game, and you can't sell these because they're my intellectual property, so you're good to go. Just use whatever you find online, and it's okay because it's just for your personal use. Okay, so let me show you how we'll put the images in. It's so easy. So let me just open back up these picture cards, and I'm just going to move them off to the side. And now let's choose L initial. Okay, so I'm going to grab all the L initial cards by holding, so I've clicked on lamb, and then I'm going to hold the shift key, and I'm going to click on lunch. And so what it did was it selected everything because I held down the shift key. Or I could have held down control or command on a Mac and just clicked the ones I want. Okay. Or you can just put them in one at a time, but this is the easiest way. Then I'm just going to pick them up and drag them into this presentation and watch what happens. Yay, they're all filled up, see? And because I've made these photo cards, they've filled up really nicely within the gap. Now, what I will do again, let me show you, is I still have 6 left, so I could just grab another 6 and just repeat them again. There we go. So we've got all of our cards filled. Now let me just show you something. If you decide, I don't want these ones, you can just select them and hit delete on your keyboard, and the placeholder stays there, which is really nice. Okay, so I also want to show you now what happens if you find images from online. So let me bring up Chrome, and we'll image search for a picture of a cat. Oh, I got my caps lock on. Okay, so we're now in an image search, and I might decide that I want to use this picture here. So I'm just going to save this, right click, save, and I'm just going to save it to my downloads for the sake of this video. And then when I go to back here to this document, it's opened up my downloads folder, it's opened up my desktop files area, and then I can find it. And there's the cat. Now, let me show you something. Let's pretend that this is, see how it's cropped it into a square, which is nice, but if we'd cut off some of our image and we wanted to see more of it, all we need to do is, with this image selected, we go to the crop section up here and we just hit fit. And what it does, it shows the entire image. So if this was an image of people doing things and it had cut off some of the people, you can just do that and it will not fill the whole space. And I've still put white squares behind it so that it still looks nice and square. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill the rest of these with more L initial words, and then I'll bring you back. So one thing I forgot to mention earlier is obviously this here is just here to make sure you watch the video so that you understand how it works. So you can delete this. It's also on slide 2. So before you start editing, you can just select this by clicking on it, this red bar here, and delete it. Okay, sorry, I should have mentioned that before. Okay, so now that we have this set up like this, we can put our goal here. I'm going to write L initial. If you do not want any goal written there, you can just select this text box and delete it by hitting the delete key on your keyboard. Okay, so now that we've got our base game board set up, we can now go and choose one of these. See how there's all these different slides here? They all look exactly the same because they are, except they're all programmed to pop the pig at a different time. Because you know how when you're playing the game, it seems very randomized when it will pop. It doesn't always pop on the last burger. Sometimes it pops on the 3rd burger. And that's all in the traditional game setup by the mechanism. But what I've done is all these slides pop at a different time, and I want you to be able to play with variety. So you can just pick a random number. So I'm going to pick number 7 and see if we click here on slide 7. The slide is number 7, but the board number is 5. Can you see up here? So I know that I've got board 5. So if I was then going to play again, I might want to change it to board 7. So it's a little more random. Okay, but of course, our pictures aren't behind this slide. Our pictures are on slide 1. So all you do is click on the spinner or any of these items, just click on one of them and then go Control A on your keyboard. If you're on a Mac, you would do Command A or whatever you need to do on a Mac to go select all. So if that's not working for you, just Google how to select all on and then put in your type of computer, but that should work fine. So Command A should select everything if you're on a Mac, and Control A if you're on a Windows, and then go Control C to copy. Alternatively, if you don't want to use quick keys, you can do this. You can select everything. Make sure you also get these 2 squares up here. So let me show you again. I'm selecting everything, okay? And to zoom out, you can just zoom out down here if you want to see more. So that, and then I've got my mouse and I've clicked and I'm dragging and I've selected everything. So that's another way you can select everything. And then I'm going to right click. Let's try that again. Sorry guys. You got to right click on something because I right clicked here. It didn't work. You got to right click on something. So like this burger and go copy. Okay. So that's another option. If you're on a Mac, to right click, you on your touchpad, you use 2 fingers. That's what right click is on a Mac. 2 finger tap at the same time, both fingers down at the same time. But if you're on a Windows or if you're on a Mac using a mouse, you right click and you just go copy. Alternatively, like I showed you before, you just go Command or Control C. All right, so that's all the different ways you can copy. All we've done is copied everything off this page, and we're gonna go pop it up here on slide 1, and we're gonna hit Command V or Control V. So Command if you're on a Mac, Control V if you're on a Windows, or we can just right click and go paste. Use this one here, okay? Okay, so now this board is set up to play and we can play the game. And we can, I'll show you how to play the game in a moment, but I just want to point a couple more things out. You have a few other options for being able to create more games all at once, okay? So we know this is the L initial game, but let's pretend in this file you want to have a few boards with different layouts or different pictures or just different numbered layouts for when it's going to pop. What you can do is if you go to the home tab where you can insert a new slide, where it says new slide, just hit the down arrow here and just choose pop pig game images. And then you're going to get a new blank copy, and you can just do it all again and put in more targets and a goal and again. Or you could, what you also can do is before you put the stuff on top, so let me just show you just a second. Okay, so like I showed you before, this is before we've pasted on top of here all the game elements. You can duplicate the slide. Oh, let's actually write L initial in there. L initial. You can duplicate the slide by right clicking and going duplicate slide. Obviously on a Mac you would 2 finger tap, or you can just go Control D or Command D and it will duplicate the slide. So now I've got 5 different versions of the same game, and I might want them to each pop at a different time. So I can go and grab, maybe I'm going to do board 1 here, copy that and put that on this one, and then I might choose board 4, because then I know that each one of these slides is a game that's going to pop at a different time. And then, so I'm just going to go grab a couple more and pop them on top of here. I'm just going Control A, Control C, Control V, Control A, Control C, Control V, so that I can select all, copy, and then paste. Okay, so I just made, and as long as it took for me to drag in my images and copy paste 5 times, I've made 5 different versions of the same game for L initial. Or alternatively, I could have just, and I've spelled initial wrong. Let's just pretend I didn't do that. Alternatively, if you want to add one for new targets, you just go new slide and choose pop pig game images, okay? But of course, also, as you've seen, there's one for adding text as well. So if you don't want to use images at all and you want to type out questions, you might want to type out WH questions or inferencing questions, you can instead choose to just use this slide, which was slide 2 when you first opened it. You can delete slide 1, you don't need the image one, and you can write out your question cards. Or if you want, you can have a mixture of games in here just by duplicating different slides, some with words and some with pictures. So you've got a lot of variety. So use this exact same way. So like, like where do doctors work? Might be, you might fill this in with a bunch of different things. And then again, you would just go and copy paste this content on top of it so that you can play the game, okay? And that your targets will be under it. Now let's understand, and we're gonna look at playing the game now, and it'll help you understand why we put our images under the burgers, okay? Or our targets under the burgers. So what you need to do now is choose the game you want to play. So I'm gonna choose to play Layout 5, but you could choose either one. And then you go to the slideshow tab and hit from current slide. So whichever slide you've chosen. Okay, so these are the ones that have my targets under them, and I know that because it's got a target written here. Whereas if we chose down here, there'd be no targets under them. The game would still work the exact same way, in an open-ended way as you would imagine. There's just no targets under the burgers. Okay, so I'm going to choose the ones I created up here that have the L initial written on them, and I'm going to choose from the current slide, and it's going to enter play mode. But see how it's in full screen mode? So now I've like lost all my buttons that are like all my clickable things down the bottom, like my menu and stuff. So now I'm going to show you how to set it up so it doesn't do that. So I'm going to hit exit. This is the same on a Mac as on a Windows computer. When it comes to PowerPoint, you go to set up slideshow on the slideshow tab, and you click browse by individual window. On a Mac it may look a little different, but just find where it says browse by individual window and hit OK. And now when we go into play mode by hitting from current slide, what will happen is the window it's now in its own window. See how I can see my menu bar up here? I could make it smaller if I wanted to and move it around and split screen it, but that's how you make sure it goes in its own individual window, and you're disabling that full screen mode. Okay, now let's have a look at how to play. So all of your gameplay happens on this one board here, this one slide. However, if you finish this game and wanted to move to the next slide, you can just hit the right arrow key and see how it changed to board 4. See up here? So I'm going to hit the right arrow key again. So this isn't because it's slide 7, it's because it's layout 7. Okay, it's like the randomizing of when it pops is the 7th randomization. Okay, so we're back at slide 1 now. Okay, so what we're going to do to play is, first of all, you go to the spinner, and this is to replace the dice, and we're going to spin the spinner. So to spin the spinner, you click the spin button once, and then you click it again to make it stop, and this is the same on an iPad. Okay, and so I got a yellow 2. Okay, so you know how on the original game, if you do have the original game, you would instead just roll a color, and then you pick up a burger and it has a number under it. We're simulating both of those randomizations here with this spinner. So we're simulating the randomization of picking a random burger and which color that comes from the dice. So we've spun a yellow burger with a 2 on the back of it. But how that translates to this game, we're going to hit the back button up here. Sorry guys, my computer's a little laggy because I'm filming the screen for you. So hopefully if you have less stuff open on your screen, this lag won't happen for you. So we had a yellow 2, right? So see these numbers up the top? That's what they're for. So these indicate the number that would traditionally be on the back of the burger. So I got yellow 2, so I've got a 2 here, so I can go down, and this is the yellow 2 because it's in the 2 column. Okay, so I'm going to click the yellow burger button, and a burger magically appeared here, and some sound did play. Let me turn my audio up so you can hear the audio. And under it is our speech word. So I've purposely programmed this so that it doesn't instantly feed it to him, so that you can say to your student that they have to say their speech word maybe 5 or 10 times before they get to feed it to him. Or you might play that they have to say it as many times as they spun, but I like to up it to about 5 to 10 so I get more bang for my buck. And so we'll say lunch, and then, or would answer the question, and then we can click the hamburger and he'll eat it. So then it's got some nice audio, hopefully you can hear it, some sound effects. Okay, and so then we have to, now traditionally in the game, you would push his head down 2 times because there was a 2 on the back of your burger, but instead we hit this head button, so we need to hit it 2 times. 1, 2. And so that button is what eventually is going to trigger the pop. And so that's why it's set up this way. And so the amount of hits it takes to pop is different on each layout, and that's why I've given you 10 different layouts that you can choose to copy paste on top of your target. So I hope that makes sense. So then we can just spin again. I got a 3 yellow. So we can go back and I can get, oh, another yellow. And again, I'd say my word, and then we can feed it to him. So you get the idea. And now I have to hit his head 3 times. And so it's essentially, that's the way that gameplay goes. So we're going to spin. I go, oh, another 3. Gosh, I'm doing well here. So 3 green. Oh, I think I did that wrong before. No, I didn't. He eats it, and then 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you guys get the idea. Now let me show you what the pop looks like. So, because do be aware that the pop does have some audio and some music. So for your students that might get startled by that, you might want to turn the audio off when you share your screen. If you're in teletherapy and you're sharing your screen, the students are only going to hear the audio if you're able to share stereo or system audio with them. That's a limitation of your platform if you can't. That's not a limitation of this game. What I do personally is I just have the audio come out of my speakers like you can hear right now so that they can hear it. But if you're using a headset, you may have to unplug your headset to do that. However, if you're using something like Zoom, when you share your screen, you have to hit the include system sound little box in the bottom left hand corner, I think it's called, but you can always Google that. They have a great help desk at Zoom, but if you're unable to share system sound in teletherapy, please know that is not a limitation of this game. There's a limitation of your platform. If you're playing this on an iPad, you can choose to have the sound on or off by turning the volume up on your iPad or down on your iPad. But let me show you the boom now. So I'll just go ahead and do that. Okay, so traditionally during gameplay when you're playing this, it's just going to randomly pop at some point. But let me show you what the pop is like. And if you ever want to see what the pop is like before you play, or if you want a student to know what they're going to expect, go down to the last slide. And it'll always be at the end, no matter how many others you've added above it. And then just go from current slide. Okay, so I'm going to hit it now and you're going to hear it. And then you see an exit button come up, so you know you're done. And then if they want to play again, you can just choose the next slide and go from current slide and see it. There it is. You can just play again. So every time you get back into play mode, it's going to have reset. So if you exit play mode with this button and then you go back into play mode, you've reset the buttons, okay? Just so you know. Okay, so let's just quickly review what we've covered and then I'll move into the iPad portion of this tutorial. When you open this up from downloading it, you will have these 2 slides at the top where you can add your targets. You can delete the red thing. Then you can choose, am I going to target with pictures or am I going to target with words? And then you can drag and drop in the pictures or type in the words you want to use, or you can just click this button here on each square to browse your computer for the images you want to use. Also, then what you do is you can duplicate these as many times as you want to cover the targets you'd like to cover for. I personally recommend just making 1 game for each target so that the document doesn't get too big, because every new slide is just a bigger game that your computer has to run. So I even would recommend that if you've set it up with the layouts, that you then delete the extra slides you don't need. So you might do L initial, L medial, L final, and L mixed, for example, by duplicating the slides like I've showed you how to do already. And you might make your games up and then put a different layout on top of each game by copy pasting. So you go to a certain layout, the numbers up here, and then you select all, and then you so you select all by Control A, or Control A and Command A is the easiest way to make sure you're selecting it all. So you select a random thing on the board and go Control A, and it selects everything, and then you know you've got everything that you need. Okay, and then you're just going to paste it on top of the boards you've made. So you're pasting all of the features, everything that makes this a game, on top of your images. Okay, then you delete the slides you don't need. And you're ready to go, and each slide is its own game. You have to make sure it browses in its own individual window, and then you only have to set that up once, by the way. Once you've set something up to browse in its own individual window, you can save this file to your computer by going File, Save a Copy, Save As or something. You can save as many copies as you want, and when you do that, when you're saving it, it's saving that setting of browsing in its own individual window. So you do not have to do that again. You can save a master copy with that setting and it will always stay there. And then do remember, if you want to play this on an iPad, you still need to do the edit steps to make sure you've got your targets behind the game boards. And then what you can do is save the file and send it to yourself. So you might send it to yourself with email. You might send it to your iPad using AirDrop, if that's something you have the capabilities of doing. You might just email it to yourself. Google Drive, OneDrive, many ways you can get the file onto your iPad. I'm not going to show you how to do that because everyone has a different system. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly make up some boards for L Initial like you've already seen me do, delete the slides I don't need, and then send it to myself. And then what we're going to do on the screen is I'm going to show you how to use it on your iPad. But one thing I quickly want to show you, I've also included in the download this template. So let me show you. So this here is a template that I've provided that's called the Image with Words card template. So if you have images on your computer that you want to use and have the word under them, like you see on my picture cards I provided, you can drag and drop the image in here and write the word down here. Let me show you. Okay, let's pretend I want this beehive. I can just drag and drop it in and it will go in, and then I'm going to do what I showed you last time, which is on the crop tab over here. I'm going to just hit fit so I can see all of it. Or I could have just hit this here and then browsed my computer and found it. Let's just add this picture of a box. And again, I'm going to go fit. Okay, there's a low quality image, so that's why it looks like that. That's a limitation of the image I have saved to my computer. Okay, so then what I can do is I can click and add my text here, right? And then I can add my text here. And so now what I can do is export these slides as image files, and I'll be able to use those. I save them to my computer and use those in the game. So to do that, you just go File, Save a Copy. On a Windows computer, this is what you do. I'll show you in a moment what to do on a Mac. And you just go in the drop down here, you just go PNG or JPEG. Either of these will work. I'm just going to go PNG, and then I'm just going to call it cards. You can choose, you might call it L Initial cards or something for a pig game. And I'm going to hit save and hit all slides if I'd filled in all the slides. And then hit OK. Here is how you export your slides as pictures on a Mac. So if you're using a Mac, please pause the video now and take note of how you do this. And for those of you who would like to keep going with the video, keep watching. Or I could have chosen just that one. And then that will be in my computer here. See, those are blank because I didn't fill in all those slides. I could have just deleted those slides if I'd wanted to. But now I have these and I could just drag them into the game. So I just wanted to point that out, that that's a way you can make your own image cards and save them to your computer so that you can make your own. So I've provided that template. I provided the photo articulation cards, and I've showed you how to just save images from the internet so you can use those as well, okay? The reason I don't include targets in this game is to keep it affordable. Okay, if I had to program in every target under the sun that you could possibly ever want to target, it would cost me so much in commercial use clip art and take me so much time. I would have to charge you way more for this game. So I want to honor the fact that you guys are creative. You may already have these things on your computer, so you can go ahead and add them yourself. But I've also provided for you the photo cards so that you can be creative and add what you want to this game, and gives you versatility and also makes it great for groups. Okay, now let's have a look at the iPad side. So like I said before, I'm going to quickly make an L Initial game, and then we'll bring you back to my iPad so you can see what we do from there. Okay, so to use this on your iPad, you're going to need two apps. First, obviously, the PowerPoint app. The PowerPoint app is free for the iPad, and you will not need the paid version. You do not need to be able to sign in with any type of paid account to use this. There is an option to sign in with your 365 account if you have one, but there's no need to for this game, because by the time, if you've edited it on your computer, you only have to play it here on the app. So that means you don't have to edit anything and you don't need to sign in. So it's the first app you're going to need. The second app you're going to need is called File Explorer. Oops. Okay. And it's this one. It's this one right here. Okay. So excuse those notifications, guys. So this File Explorer here is where I save all my PowerPoint games on my iPad. It's also free. I save all my PowerPoint games on my iPad in File Explorer. I'll show you how to do that so that when I want to play them in speech therapy, I can just open them up on my iPad. So obviously, if you're doing teletherapy, you'll just play this on your computer in PowerPoint where we've been editing it. But If you're wanting to go out in person and do therapy, you're able to take your iPad out, have the PowerPoint game saved in File Explorer, and then open it up when you need it. And this is the same for any of my PowerPoint games, okay, including my Caribou game. I've shown you this if you've already played my Caribou game. It's the exact same way. But all my PowerPoint games should work this way, unless it says in the description they don't work on an iPad. Okay, so let's go from the beginning what you need to do. So I'm going to go to my Gmail because I've sent this to myself in Gmail, but I'm not going to show you as I open Gmail for privacy reasons. I'll bring you back in a second. Okay, so I went to my Gmail and I hit the attachment that was in the email that I sent. That's here. So it's not looking how it's meant to yet because we don't have it in PowerPoint. So all I do is I hit the screen and then I'm going to hit this share button up here. So you need to find whatever button that you have, whatever system you're using, whether it be Google Slides, Gmail, Outlook, AirDrop, whatever you need to do, find the place where you can share to another app. So it's called like the share button or the open in button. So I'm just going to hit that button there. And what happens is all these apps come up. So I'm going to choose to copy to File Explorer. See how it says here? So you'll do whatever you need to do to be able to copy to File Explorer. Okay, or open in File Explorer. And then it's going to show you my File Explorer and I'm going to choose where I want to save it. So I have a few folders in here. So I'm going to go to my SLP folder and then I'm going to make a new one for Pop Pig Game, a new folder. But you might have a folder called PowerPoint Games or something like that, but I'm just going to save it in here. So I'm going to hit save. Okay, so now it's saved in this app. So let's go find it. I'm going to go to SLP. And then we're going to go to Pop Pig Game. Now, if you've sent yourself a zipped folder, you're going to have to unzip it, but you probably will not have because you would have edited this game. But if you hit those three dots there, see these three dots here? It brings up all the options. And if this is zipped, it should not be, but if it's zipped, you just hit this. It'll be something that looks like this and it'll say unarchive, but we're not going to worry about that because it's not zipped. So let's hit those three dots again, and we're going to hit this symbol here. It might say share, it might say open in, something like that, but on this version of the app it says share. And then we're going to go along and choose PowerPoint. So this is what I would do in the session. So I'd keep it stored in File Explorer. Before I go, I'll make sure it's in File Explorer. Then I'll go out to my session, I'll grab out my iPad, or I'll be in my therapy room if you've got one of those. Grab out my iPad, go to File Explorer, and just quickly do this. And I'm just going to quickly hit copy to PowerPoint. And then what it's going to do is it's going to open in PowerPoint. Okay? So what we're doing here essentially is opening it in read-only mode, but that does not matter. So all we're going to do is we're going to, up here, you will have a button that looks like a play button, okay? Or something like that, a play button, something like that. For me, I've got a button that looks like this just because I'm screen mirroring, so I can film my screen to show you. But yours will be a play button or something like that up in this top right corner. It's present mode, pretty much. So I'm going to go hit that. Now, this is not going to show up full screen because I'm filming my screen. It's just because I'm mirroring my iPad. In real life, this will fill the entire iPad screen, okay, guys? But it's just the software I'm using to make sure I can film my screen that makes it not come up in full screen mode. Okay, and then we will play the game just like we would on a computer. So as you can see, I've got layout 1 here, but if I wanted to do layout 4, I can just swipe. Okay, so by swiping, I just swiped from right to left, it took me to layout 4. Okay, and then I can swipe again, and now I'm on layout 7. So that's why I put the numbers there so you can tell you're on a new layout. Remember, the only difference between the layouts is when it pops. Okay, and then, so I'm going to go back by going left to right this time. Now, all we do is we play exactly like we did on the computer. I'm going to hit the spin button, and I'm going to move my mouse out of the way, and then I'm going to spin. Oh, I got a 1 red. I'm going to hit the back button, and then I can hit the red burger under the 1. I can say leak, and then feed it to the pig, and so on and so forth, and hit the button. So it plays exactly just the same way. You're just tapping instead of, so column 3, purple burger, instead of clicking. And all the audio still stays there. And let's go see if we can go to the pop. Let's see if it will work for us. Here we go. then you can hit the exit button and it will take you back to this mode. Okay, so normally, like I said before, the pop happens within the animations of the game, like it's automated, but I just took you there so you could see it, what it was like. So yeah, all the audio works on the iPad, and it works the exact same way, and you can have it saved. You can have a ton of different versions of it saved in your file explorer to target a bunch of different things and just bring it out when you need to. Great for mixed groups as well. Yeah, so that's how you use this on an iPad. I hope you found this helpful, everyone. Please do remember that if this tutorial video hasn't been clear enough for you, you're always welcome to email me. Do make sure that whenever you're purchasing things from me that you read the description before you buy, because I do like to make it really clear for you what you're going to need to be able to use these games, and so I just never want anyone to be disappointed. But if you don't read the description before you buy, you're not going to know that. And also note that, so I've given you the articulation photo cards within this game. However, in the future I will probably put for separate purchase in my store that you can buy separately if you want to, some different target cards for different things like verbs and WH questions and things like that. So do keep an eye out. I do have a digitized version of Caribou as well, and a digitized version of Connect 4. There are a few, it's called 4 in a row in my store, and the Caribou game starts with a K. And there will be others coming out soon as well, so do keep an eye out. Do remember, this is under terms of use, guys. This is my intellectual property, and you've purchased one license to use it. Unless you otherwise have purchased multiple licenses for multiple therapists, this is just for you and your caseload. So please do not share it with other therapists or teachers. You can only share this with your own caseload. However, I would be wary of sending this home to parents if you're wanting them to use it for homework, because how are you to know that they have the right software that they need? So if you know they have the right software and you're willing to provide that tech support for them, then you're able to share this with your own caseload. And yeah, just remember my terms of use are included in every download, and also in the terms of use document you can also see my contact details if you need to email me. They're also at the bottom of every single listing on Teachers Pay Teachers, and on my website there's a contact form. So yeah, enjoy, guys. I hope you've liked this. If you have any other requests for games that you'd like to see digitized, pop them in the comments below or reach out to me. Take care, guys, and stay safe. Bye.